What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. By now y'all know who I am, but if you don't know, I'm Michael with 252 Off-Road, and welcome to today's video. Before we dive too far deep, first and foremost, if you didn't watch the Mud Bash video, definitely go check it out. We had a freaking ball, met a lot of awesome people, and I feel pretty confident we got some good content for that video. So I'll have it somewhere right here. Definitely go check it out, and while you're doing that, click the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel, and we're gonna get right to today's video. So as you can tell kindly by the cinematic mediocre intro that I put together, we got a brand new unit here. When I say brand new, I mean it don't get much newer than this. This machine has 1.9 hours on it, and it belongs to a customer named Randy. Now, Mr. Randy, first and foremost, thank you for trusting me with this machine, with the modifications that we're gonna be doing to it today, and future modifications, repair, service, whatever you have in mind, we'll get you taken care of. So as you saw in the intro, he's got a few tasteful mods done to it. Talking to Mr. Randy, he said, I'm the type of guy, when I get something, I go ahead and do it all. That way, when I get to the part, I don't wish I had this, had that, blah, 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 so forth. So he went ahead and just got this thing set up to absolutely dominate the trails and mud, whatever he throws at it. Now, the question of the day, Mike, what are you doing to it? So as you can tell, Randy put 32-inch Super ATV assassinators on it and a slip-on exhaust. Now, can he go ride this machine? Absolutely. But if he's going to go out there, he wants to go, you know, bogging, full sends or whatever, he's definitely going to need a little help to turn those big heavy tires. Now, again, some other people say, oh, you don't need aftermarket clutching, you don't need this or that. No, you don't. It'll go out there, it'll perform well, but if you get in the right situation, you're gonna wish you had it. So today, the main reason I'm making this video is we're doing a CVTech primary on this machine with a secondary spring upgrade, and we're also gonna be flash tuning this machine. That's what we got cooking today. But like I said, the main thing is we're gonna be going over to CVTech today because there's a lot of misconception about that clutch. And hopefully anybody that's in the market for a CVTech, I don't know what the bird's deal is, but I reckon they just, you know, having a full-on conversation when I'm trying to film this. But the CVTech clutch is a highly underrated and misconcepted clutch in this market. So if you're in the market for clutching, hopefully this video will help you decide on what is best for you, and just follow along, and I'll kindly go over some of the basis of what the CVTech is and why I think it's easily one of the better clutches on the market for what it is. So other than that, I'm gonna get this machine pulled in and we'll get to it. All right, so we got Randy's machine in here, and before I dive too far deep into the CVTech clutch, first thing I'm gonna say is everything that I'm about to say and talk about is opinionated. I do not claim to be an expert, but I have installed a many clutches, I have tuned a many clutches, I have fixed a many of them, etc., etc. And I can say, and I'm pretty sure I have other people that will vouch for me, I kind of know what I'm doing. So we got some people in this industry that they think that they're the ones that know it all because they got this and that, they got the big fancy shop and they got all this data, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is people get too far in depth on certain things, and clutching is one of them. The main thing that applies when it comes to aftermarket clutching is getting the best optimal performance for your machine or your setup for your riding style. And Russell Croker at 3P Off-Road will 100% agree with that, because he has said that multiple times, and that basically sums up CVT clutching on these Can-Ams. A lot of people want to say this is the best clutch, this is the best clutch. Every clutch has their advantages over another one, and it boils down to what the end user, the customer, and just overall what are they looking for and what fits their budget. And that's why today we're gonna make a video on the CVTech, because like I said a while ago, it is a very underrated clutch. Now, again, I'm not saying I know everything. I just want to put that in there because we got a lot of egotistic people in this industry that just, they get on social media and they'll say some stupid stuff, and you know, everybody has a different, I guess you can say, aspect of how they look at things. So getting to the clutch, like I said, I'm not going to dive too far deep into it because I want to keep things in layman's terms where the end consumer, the weekend warrior, the basic, you know, person that wants the performance upgrade because they know what it is, but they don't have an idea of what it does, what it looks like, so forth and so on. Like I said, so we're gonna keep it basic. That way, you know, we don't get too far on the spectrum of, you know, the science behind CVT clutching. So other than that, first question is, Mike, what is a CVTech? This is a CVTech right here. This is what the clutch looks like. Now granted, most of the other clutches, they are billet aluminum. So yes, this clutch isn't as shiny as the other ones, but that does not mean it's not a bad clutch. Now, some of the most common misconceptions about these CVTechs is they can't handle power or big tires. Now granted, I personally don't recommend putting these on a machine with like 44s, 45s, 50s or anything, but most of your average trail riders, you know, full senders, whatever, the weekend warriors, this clutch right here is going to do everything you want it to do. I would say, depending on the tire, like for instance, this 850 has 32-inch assassinators on it. My Renegade has 32-inch assassinators on it. This clutch will work just fine, even under big power. Now, when I say big power, I'm going to say, to keep it at a respectful range, these CVTechs will live around 140 true rear wheel horsepower. Now, I'm not talking about, you know, fake numbers. I'm talking about on a accurate dyno, this CVTech will live anywhere, yeah, about 140, 145. Blaze at Blaze and Trails Performance has proven that time and time again. And from my Renegade, like I said, 2.5 years running one, and I haven't had one single issue with it. So don't be afraid or listen to the people that say these things will explode or can't handle big tires, whatever. Now, there are some exceptions to tires. Now, some of the other manufacturer tires that are bigger, like 33s, 35s, they don't weigh as much. Even they would be okay. I know plenty of people that are running one of these on 34-inch assassinators, and they had great luck. So, like I said, this clutch, can't go wrong with it. Even on 32s, a good nitrous setup, anything like that, this clutch will work just great. So another misconception about this clutch is the performance compared to a billet clutch. And there's, for sake of that argument, without getting too far in depth about the clutch itself, the measurement of deviation between what a CVTech does versus what a billet clutch does on the dyno, for the average weekend warrior, like for instance, a stock machine on 32s, just gonna go out there, you know, trail ride, do a couple of sins, you're not going to see or feel that much of a difference in between them. Now, we have some professionals out here, that would say otherwise. It's like you can tell a big difference. And for me personally, on a stock machine, there is no damn difference. Now, you know, on the dyno, absolutely, you can see just a minuscule deviation on the dyno graphs on how the two different clutches react. But like I said, the average person, if you were to get on a machine with a CVTech and then get on a machine with an STM, most people are not going to be able to tell the difference. A lot of people, they talk about the belt grip factor at low RPM, but again, you know, there is a slight difference, but on a stock machine, there is so much of a, like I said, a minuscule difference that it's hard to even tell. Now, if you were on a machine like mine with a slightly built motor, pushing a little bit more power, then it can be a little bit more noticeable. But again, I've been running this on my machine for 2.5 years now and haven't had a single issue or noticed any difference. And plus, if you look at some of these, you know, big time racers, some of them guys are actually running one of these. So like I said, clutch setup, secondary setup, all that stuff plays a big part of how these clutches perform. So going to the third option, the price point, this is where a lot of people get sold on this clutch, because as I stated, this clutch right here will give you the optimal performance, everything you need for an aftermarket primary, and will just overall better your experience on your machine for the lowest cost for a aftermarket primary. These right here, usually they go, I would say, depending on what day of the week it is or time of the month or year, usually these are, see, let me do a little bit of math. Usually these are about $500 or $600 cheaper than your standard billet clutches, and again, they perform great. So the whole thing is, no matter what people say, you're gonna have to form your own conclusion, your own opinion, do your own research. I always tell people that, do your own research and, you know, better your knowledge on what clutches, you know, are out there, what's available, and this and that. And yes, you can ask questions, but if you go on Facebook on these Can-Am pages and ask, you know, a question about clutches, just be prepared to get 1,000 different opinions. But again, just trying to leave everything in layman's terms where everybody has a general idea of what the CVTech is, and just kind of put it out there that this is not a bad clutch. This clutch works great, and I highly recommend it for anybody, depending on what kind of setup and machine. Again, if you're on huge tires, then that can make a difference. But again, as a stock machine on 32s, even a mildly to moderately built machine on 32s, this clutch right here is going to do what you want it to. So with that being said, I went ahead, got the side plastic pulled off. I've got some of the bolts out, so I'm gonna put y'all on top of the head, put y'all on a time lapse, and we're gonna get to it. Installation, if you watch videos, installation is just like how any other clutch is. The STMs, the icons, you know, is take them off. We're gonna lap it on the crank, clean it up, and you know, put it all back together. So stay tuned, here we go. All right, so I can't remember where I left off, but we got Randy's 850, got the CVTech put on it, got it all buttoned up with the white secondary spring. All that's good to go. She feels freaking amazing, and he's gonna be very happy with that. But we're not done. So being Randy put a slip-on exhaust on this thing, we talked and talked about, you know, what if this, what if that, you know, warranty this, warranty that. And we came to the terms and the conclusion like, hey, look, if you put the slip-on exhaust on it, you know, I can't guarantee that the machine's not gonna run funny. You know, if your plastics might melt. Anybody in this industry that tells you can run a slip-on exhaust without having this thing tuned or flashed to have the AFR compensated and et cetera, they're lying to you. Now, yes, you can run the exhaust, but if your plastics start to warp, melt, you burn your leg up, that's on you. I always tell people, I don't care if it's the Yoshimiri, whatever it's called, slip-on exhaust, the bike needs to be tuned. So we got the PB3 out. We're gonna pull the stock file PB info off this machine, get it sent over to our boy Blaze at Blaze Trails Performance, let him do his thing. Then we're gonna upload the file, do a little bit of logging, and make any adjustments that need to be made. So stand by, we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll pick back up when we're flashing the new file on. All right, we got the machine pulled out here. Just looking everything over, letting it get up to operating temp. Everything seems to be smooth right now. I tell you, really starting to like this red Outlander. The more I keep looking at Outlanders, the more it makes me want to get one. The fan just kicked on, so that's a good sign. Kicked on at a lower cut-on temperature, which is one thing that gets changed into the flash. But yeah, so we're gonna load this thing up, head on out to Mexico, take it for a rip. Not gonna do nothing too crazy, just ride around, make sure everything's good. So bear with me. All right, so we got Mr. Randy's machine back over here. One thing I will say, riding on these newer machines that don't have this right-hand brake lever, it'll definitely throw you through a loop when you try to grab it, cause I'm all the time trying to grab that thing on all these newer machines. But man, everything went freaking great. The machine feels awesome. It feels like a whole completely different new machine, especially with the new CVTech clutch setup and the new tune on it. I think Mr. Randy's gonna be very well pleased with it. I cannot wait for him to bring it out to bus gun and rip it one time. We might even have him out there skimming the ponds. Now he says he's not about that life, but a little persuasion will have him doing the thing. But other than that, as always, do not subscribe to the channel. Definitely do so. Remember to follow me on my other social links and just pay attention. I might post a video from Memorial Day ride like I said earlier, not sure yet. And if you're able to find me on Facebook, I do not have a 252 Off-Road public page. I just have my personal page, but usually you can find me if you search 252 Off-Road. Definitely do not hesitate to send me a message, a concern, whether it's about clutching, tuning, maintenance, repair, performance, anything dealing with Can-Ams, please send me a message. I'm not one of those types of guys that don't want to help nobody or give any honest opinion. I'm always willing to help. But other than that, y'all pay attention to the channel, subscribe to the channel, and remember to follow me on everything else. Y'all have a good one. We'll catch you on the next one.